We all know that problem. There is this video that we want to show on our projector, and as soon as we pull it over to the projector area, it covers all the room, and we want it to be on those walls, but not everywhere else. So if we just make it smaller and pull it there, it doesn't really work properly. And but you've heard of something called video mapping and you want to try it out, but you don't want to spend money. Well, there is a solution that is kind of free called VPT8 by HC Gilje. Maybe reach out if I mispronounce your name. You download the zip file and you have to make sure that Visual C++ is installed on your computer, just to make sure VPT has the right DLLs to be supported. Then you unzip the file into a folder that you have full access to, like your documents folder. And within the VPT8 folder, you'll find the VPT8 app and some other folders. For the sake of this tutorial, I will take the empty project folder, copy it, and call it tutorial. You should also copy and duplicate that folder, that empty project folder, to make sure that you always can come back to this empty folder structure, because within the folder there are more folders. So to get some footage in here, there is a default project with some videos in here. I will copy this content into my tutorials folder, so we have something to start with. Take all the videos that you want to project and you want to map into that folder, and then you start the VPT8 app. You will have to give permission for the app to run, and it will start up with an interface that consists of two little windows. Those two. There is a preview window and a output window. Let's pull this output window over to our projector area. And then there is this huge programming area. Let me just get this sorted out a bit. That programming window is where we will program our show. Let's pretend we have a few videos that we want to show, and we have two walls that we want to map on. All the areas in here have their purposes. There is a area that has all the cues in it, and all the projection areas in it. This one up here. Then there is the video slots, where we can have all our content sorted out. Those slots are organized in blocks up here. And then there is a properties area where we can make adjustments and store them in our cues. Let's go. First, we have to open the file that is over there in our tutorials folder called project path maxpat, and it populated all the area here. Everything that's yellow is active, so if we want to make something active, like for instance the full screen, we just click on the full screen, we lose the window in our projection area, and the preview will help us with organizing all our settings. We can make this window a bit bigger by pulling on the window size down here. Now we can create an area that we want to project in. By clicking the little plus up here, we add a layer or what we might call the projection area, and you can see those little crosshairs. We can make them a little bigger by clicking on the XL down here, so we can see those crosshairs in our projection. And now we can pull them with our mouse to where we want them. Let's say at the corners of our first wall, the left wall. We just pull them there. And to make sure we recognize that area, the left wall, we can give it a name. Let's call this layer 1 left wall. And roughly map it. It would be nice to have some content on there, so let's give it some content. We assign a video layer to it, let's say video 1, and now we have to turn it on and then give it content. Let's take the chess so we can see what we're doing. Now we roughly pull those with a mouse, and as soon as we're almost done, we change into the fine mode by clicking on the corner here and pulling with the mouse. Depending on how far we are from the comma, it's going to be finer here, or more rough, a little closer to the comma. But we can also just click on the corner and use the arrow keys on our keyboard. When we're done with this, we have to store what we did in a preset. So let's call this preset 1. Let's call it the opening of our piece. This is like naming the cues in a show. Let's store this as the opening. This is our opening. Now let's create the second wall we have, like this one. So let's give it bigger corners and arrange it. Here are our crosses. And you can click either on the preview, or you just move your mouse over to the projection area and grab those corners within the projection area and pull them where they need to go. Sometimes easier to do it on the preview though. As soon as we're done, we can store this again under opening. So as long as this is active, we can store those values that we gave it here. And now we can assign to layer 2 that we actually call our right wall. Let's say slot number 2. And in this slot number 2, we just take the apple. As it's a little bright for an opening, we just change the values. So we go down with the opacity to very low, and we store this as our opening. Now, let's create a first act. Store it, activate it, and now we want the apple to be full, and we also want our other wall to show that apple. Let's store this, and let's create a second act. Let's go into the second act. Now in this second act, we're going to use some more of those properties down here in the properties window. Let's activate our left wall, and let's say we're going to have video layer 3 show us something, and on video layer 3 we take the logo of VPT, but we don't want to show it on only this wall, we want to show it on both walls. So second should show video 3 as well. Let's store this to be sure. Now we don't want it to be two separate logos, but we want it to be one big writing. To do that, we go into our left wall and we activate tiling and tell it to use the first half of the x-axis, and our second wall should use the second half of the x-axis. And now we have something immersive that we can actually store and use. So now if we go back to our first cue, there's the opening. Then our second cue is both apples. And the third cue, the second act, is this writing. You can, however, also use different content here. So let's just change the content. If we find out that we want to mask one of those outputs, we can create a mask on our left wall. So we go into the mask and we use the mask editor. The mask editor will be shown down here, and you can see how when I pull the one corner, it actually shows the mask area. If I click on the edges, I can create new corner points. I can mask this out and then save the mask as what I want to call it. Let's call it middle, but let's spell it properly. And I save the mask, and now I have the mask middle PNG right there. I can make it a little blurrier so the edges get a little more blurry. And always remember, it has to be activated. It will turn yellow then, and then you can use it. To turn it off, you just click it and you're back to this. So let's just use this, and maybe we store this into a second act part 2. So second act part 2 is this, second act is the full image, first act is this, and the opening is that. Now you could run the whole show like this, or you could create a cue list, this one, and we will edit this cue list now to see if we understand the function of it. Let us create a cue that changes from the opening into first act within 3 seconds. So let's call it a fade from first to second in 3 seconds. Now, creating this cue list is a step too far because you only came here to learn how to map your content onto those 2 walls with a free program. So turn off those draw corners, go into your act and have your video run. Now, if you want to learn how to use all those properties and maybe also use your phone to run the show and all that stuff, come back for a later tutorial. Maybe subscribe to the channel because we're going to use some more free tools in this channel and learn how to use them for mapping, because not everybody can buy a big server to do mappings. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll be seeing you the next time.